TY&E safety. So we talked about a lot of things this morning. Here's another requirement that we have when we talk safety. These locomotive doors that go onto these big wide body locomotives, they can probably weigh up to, you know, they're steel, they could probably weigh up to 200 pounds, the door. And you can imagine what that can do to your hand if it slams on it, you know. So this is another requirement we have right here. Brewski, why don't you kick us off?
All right. Keep the front door of locomotives closed when speeds are greater than 15 miles an hour, except during switching operations. If the door is open, secure it to prevent unexpected closure. Open and close doors on engines, cabooses, and other equipment by using the appropriate handle. Do not grab the edge of the door.
15 mph, worthy of some notice. Okay. So at speeds greater than 15 mph, they want the door closed, unless you're doing switching. And if you're switching faster than 15 mph, I suspect something anyway. Use appropriate handle when you open close doors. I had a guy got a finger cut off one time because he closed a van door on a van, contract van. The back door, he just kind of grabbed the edge of the door and shut it. And when it met the other door, his finger was in between there and cut his finger off. Okay. A lot of these slides we won't dig real deep into, and it won't be on your quiz. We just put them up there for informational type purposes. Okay. Cars, we don't pull cars on the railroad. Okay. And surprisingly enough, an empty car weighs approximately 35 tons. Right. That car is sitting on a piece of good rail. I could start that car moving myself by pushing it. Okay, it doesn't take much to get them going. All right, so you can certainly do that. They don't want you to do it because it's improper to do that. Okay. Chalking cars, we don't chalk cars that much on the railroad. We usually secure them with handbrakes. Now, you know, there may be a reason to chalk a car that maybe the handbrake's defective. The only issue with that is you got to have the chalks available. Out there on the countryside, you certainly don't have them available. You know, if you're in a yard, you may or may not. The car department, the car folks, they may have some. But usually, I've never chalked a car ever. Not to say that it couldn't happen. Installing or removing a marker. What they're talking about is this end of train device hanging on the back there. Installing or removing a marker. Okay. This is something we need to be aware of. So, Ross, why don't you kick us off with here?
Protection. Before a crew member installs or removes a marker, protection must be provided as follows. Determine by communicating with the employee at the controls of the engine that the affected equipment will not be moved. Assure at least 50 feet of separation exists between the point of installation or removal and the nearest other standing equipment. If no engine is attached, determine by communicating with the employee who authorizes use of the track at that location that the equipment is secure against the movement.
So there's a couple of things here. We're talking about installing or removing a marker. Okay. Now, when they say marker, that does not always mean an end of train device. A flag, a red flag, could be a marker on the rear of a train. Okay. So whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is this. To install or remove that marker, you got to be in close proximity of the car, right? You got to be in the file, right, of the track. So here's what we do. If we're in a track. That's your cars. We're going to go in and this is the first scenario right here. Your engine's attached. Okay. We're going to go in here and install a marker. Determined by communicating with the employees who controls the engine that the affected equipment will not be moved. Right? I'm going to determine with him that this equipment won't be moved. How am I going to do that? We've already talked about this.
Radio or
Okay, but what's it called? A go-between. Okay? I'm going to get a go-between. That's what it means. Go in between. Set and centered. Okay? So that's what they're talking about there. Why? Because you're in the foul zone of the equipment. Okay? Now, let's say I'm here, right? And this track has more cars than just the ones I'm getting. So, let's say there's another coat of cars down here. I still have to have how much separation? 50 feet before I go in between, right? Okay, so that's an issue you got to contend with. And also, right here, let's say your engine's not attached and you just want to go in there and kind of be proactive, get ready, hang a marker on there. Well, there's no engineer to talk to, right? So you're going to talk to the employee who authorizes the use of that track to make sure he's not going to let someone else in there go against the cars or do something. Usually that guy is called the yard master, right? So that's kind of explanation of the 3 bullet points there.
Are yard masters usually out and about, walking around, or are they?
They never get out and about.
Okay.
They usually just stay right there in the office.
Okay.
Now your managers, different story. They're out and about.
All right.
All right. More than one engine will be working at both ends, and that happens a lot. Remember, these tracks, you can start in them and go all the way through out the other end. They got an entrance on both ends. If you're in a yard to where there's a lot of work going on, you could very well have 2 crews working in the same track at both ends. So it's just something you need to be aware of. Best thing you can do in a situation like that, if you're going to be working in a track, talk to the yard master or the employee in charge of the crews. Hey, is there anybody working in at the north end of 2 track? No, there's no one up there. All right, you're good to go. Now, what if you can't get a hold of him, though? You're down here on this end. This end is 2 miles away. You certainly can't see that far, right? All you need to do, right here, is just make a call. I call it a call in the blind. Yeah, this is Conductor Brown on this job. Is there anyone working in the north end of 2 track? If they are, they'll answer you. And then you can kind of coordinate that with amongst yourselves. To me, they didn't ask me, but in my opinion, I kind of like that better. Why is that? You said. Because it takes the middleman out of the picture. You're talking directly with the crew that's working up there, right? Here's the thing about the yard master. He's a good source of information if his information is good. Okay? And what I mean by that is he only knows what he either told someone to do or what they're telling them they're doing. What if somebody took it upon themselves 2 miles away? Remember, he can't see everything that's happening in the yard master. What if somebody took it upon themselves, they was doing a little work up there and they decided to dip into track 2 real quick? You know, that old proverbial saying, I'll just do this real quick and be out of there, and never tell him about it. He doesn't know they're in there, right? That's why I like to talk directly to the potential person that's in there, okay? Installing or moving a marker, and we're talking more about the ETD now. What this explains to us in 13.111 is it kind of gives you step-by-step instructions on how to install that marker. Okay? And there's a certain way to do that. I don't bore you with that for this class because it really won't mean anything to you until you start doing it by hand. Okay? You don't get quizzed on it. But I will tell you, in week 3, we do all that right in here. And you're going to do that so many times, you'll be sick of it. Okay? So I don't really bore you with a bunch of step-by-step instructions because it won't mean much to you. And like I say, you don't get quizzed on it anyway. All right. Connect the rear end device to the hose train line before moving. Completed the marker operation. Advise affected employees. Okay. This you do need to know. 13.2.1. Tyler.
Stand clear during accompanying movements.
When you make a joint with other rail cars, weird things can happen sometimes. Sometimes parts and pieces can fly off a car. Sometimes, maybe, if I say a gondola, do you know what I'm talking about? It's an open top car. You can put stuff inside it. Sometimes they have like scrap metal and things like that in there, and they overfill them. You make a good hard joint and you jostle that stuff around, some of that stuff could fall out of the car. So you don't have to be right on top of the car when the joint makes. Nothing says you have to be right on top of that, especially when you're dealing with tank cars and hazardous materials. Because just because you make the joint, right, the liquid inside there is still sloshing around until it settles down. And if that, if the cover on top is not secure, or maybe it's defective and leaking or something, some of those chemicals can slosh out, and you don't want to, be on the receiving end of that either. Okay, so stand clear of the situation when you make a joint. Uncoupling lever. These are very important items for you. Definitely worthy of a highlight. Uncoupling lever, some people call it a pin lifter. Okay, it's actually called an uncoupling lever. You'll operate those a lot out there. Okay, what are we going to do? You always use your hand nearest the equipment to operate the uncoupling lever. So if this is my car, let's say here's the car and there's a car, right? That's the uncoupling lever, and that's the uncoupling lever for that car. If I'm standing here as a conductor and I'm going to leave these cars behind and let these go, what I have to do is I have to use my hand nearest the equipment. So I'm here, the movement's going that way, because that's where my engines are. I'm going to pull this uncoupling lever, because these cars are getting left behind. Okay? They want me to use this hand nearest the car. They don't want you reaching across like this, because that's a shoulder injury waiting to happen. Okay? They always want you to face the direction of movement. If my locomotives and the rest of the train are going to go that way, that's the way they want you to face. Why? Because you can see what's going on. Don't jerk. These cars get a lot of miles on them. They stay in the weather. Things don't always work like they did when they were brand new. Okay. So if you get an uncoupling lever that, doesn't come up freely, sometimes you got to jostle it a little bit, but they don't want you jerking and, strapping on it and, to the point to where you could pull a shoulder muscle. If it doesn't work, big deal. Just stop, get your protection, go through, and pull this uncoupling lever. It'll do the same thing for you. Okay? So the world won't come to an end if you can't operate this. Just go across and operate that one. Okay? Only put your hand where it's designed as a handle. That's pretty common sense. Do not run while operating the uncoupling lever, and do not use your feet to do it. And a lot of people think, how's that even possible? We used to do that a lot back in the day, before all this was kind of the requirement. It was possible to stand on that ladder right here, be standing on the ladder, and we'd just reach across with our foot and just pick up on the uncoupling lever, stop the move, and this car would just keep going. Okay? They don't want you doing that stuff. Why? Because somebody somewhere probably got hurt doing it. Or they broke a piece of equipment or something like that. Okay? So those are three, several important points you need to be highlighting there. Adjusting the pin lifter. These knuckles, and you can kind of look at this stuff as you want to, but what this is over here, that the end of train device is on, the end of train device is actually mounted to a drawbar. And then at the end of the drawbar, you can see where the knuckle is, right? Inside that housing in the drawbar, there's a lock block, we call it. And when you shut the knuckle, this lock block falls in place, and it blocks like a piece of that knuckle, and it won't let it open. Okay, that's a lock block. They don't want you reaching underneath that knuckle to try to push anything up out of the way or do anything with your hands when things aren't operating correctly. First of all, you can't do it anyway. You probably can't get it lifted with your hand anyway. Secondly, and probably more importantly, is you're setting yourself up for some kind of finger to get smashed or pinching or something like that. Okay. Adjusting mismatched couplers, 13.2.4. Basically, we call it a misaligned drawbar. Okay. These drawbars on these cars are intended to move. That's the back of a car. That's the housing. Okay. And this is the drawbar, right? They're designed to where they move left and right, like this. Why do you think that's so?
Turns.
For curves. If this was rigid and didn't move, when they go around a curve, what do you think it'll do? It'll pull the cars off the rail, right? That's why they have to have some flexibility. Well, sometimes that comes back to bite you, especially when you don't prepare for it, because sometimes they vibrate. This is a top view, okay? Sometimes they vibrate and get misaligned, This one's straight. This one's jacked over to the left. Okay? Do you think that's going to make a joint? No. So you have to fix that. You have to align those drawbars. There's a lot of ways to line a drawbar. First of all, the knuckle weighs about what?
75.
About 75. Drawbar weighs about 275. Okay? So it's pretty heavy. Here's the thing though. They're very easily adjustable most of the time. So let's talk about some of the ways we can do it. Again, you're going to see on these slides a little kind of some step-by-step methods on how to do it. I don't bore you with that because they're going to show you a couple of different ways out in the field in week 4. And you don't get tested on it before then. So it's not like you're going to be missing some valuable information. Don't adjust a knuckle with an approaching engine. Yes, do not. Do not attempt manual adjustment unless they move when you apply limited effort. So one of the big ways you can adjust these drawbars is by hand. Just slide them over. Okay. Now, if they're wedged on one side or another and they won't move, don't fight it, because again, you're looking at an injury. So how do you adjust them with using no device? Just yourself. Normally, it's been my experience that this is probably the way you're going to do it 99% of the time. You're out there switching, a drawbar gets misaligned. The first thing you're going to do is separate the equipment. Okay, how far? 50 feet. And then, after the movement stops, slack adjusts, what you going to do?
Ask for protection.
Get a go-between, right? When you get that go-between, all you're going to do is go in there, and whatever side it's facing toward, what you'll do, there's a couple of ways to do it. I normally will get against it with my front side like this and kind of spread my legs a little bit and just kind of use upward pressure on the drawbar and then kind of push with my legs and body. You're not actually picking it up because you can't, right? You just a little upward pressure and you can just kind of push it over to the center. Now, some people would rather do it like this and basically do the same thing but with their back. That works good for a lot of people. It doesn't work very good for me because I'm not that tall. Okay? So whatever way works. And that's perfectly legal as long as it moves when you try to move it. Okay? That's, again, probably over 95% of the time, that's the way you're going to do it. So here's some other ways. Right here. You can also align a drawbar by using a lining bar, a pole, pinch bar. Okay. Again, if you have to get in between the equipment to do it, you got to have 50 feet of room. You got to have a go-between. Yes, sir.
Where would you find these lining bars and all that stuff? Would that be equipped with?
No. That's why 95% of the time you're going to do it by hand. Now, if you're in a yard environment, they may have some of these items strategically placed in the yard. Now, whether or not it's going to be close enough for you to use is a different story. Okay, but you can always, if you're in a yard, call the car department and tell them to bring you something. Okay, and that can happen too. Okay. All right, but they usually demonstrate in the field for week 4. We have a drawbar alignment pole. Anybody ever see the old Walking Tall movie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's his name? Brutus or Buford or Sheriff?
Rock Johnson?
No, I'm talking the old one.
Oh,
30 years before your time.
Oh, no, I seen that
Okay,
on the rock.
Sheriff Buford or something like that.
Beautiful TK.
He had what we call a peacemaker. You know what a peacemaker is?
Pacemaker?
Not a pacemaker, a peacemaker. It's a big old pole about yay long. You know, peacemaker. We have a pole just like that. We call it a drawbar alignment pole. And what we do with that pole is right here in this housing, say right here, what you do with that pole is you place that pole inside that hole there a little bit, like that. And then all you got to do is just push that pole and it just moves it over like gravy. Now, that's because of leverage, right? It works really well, but you got to have one before you can use it, right? That's usually our issue.
Do you still have to get the clearance to go in there to put that in?
Absolutely. You got to be separated 50 feet, and you got to have a go-between. That's right. So this is one thing that they normally demonstrate out in the field. We have another way to line a drawbar. It's called a knuckle mate. Now, I'm a very good drawer. I know you know that, right? So I'm going to show you how this works. So you got a knuckle here. Right? That's the face of a knuckle. Okay? You got the hole there. Top view. A knuckle mate is designed, it's a pole, it's a bar, okay? But it's only about yay long, about maybe 3.5, 4 feet. Drawbar alignment pole is about 6 feet, okay? So the knuckle mate has the end of it is kind of shaped like the knuckle. And it has a pin in it right here. That pin fits right in that hole. So you kind of set it down on top of the knuckle. And then you can just move the pole back and forth and it'll slide the drawbar. Okay. It still works pretty good too, not quite as good as this. But then again, this knuckle mate's not quite as cumbersome either. So that's another way to do it. Questions?
Yeah, I guess if you have like a flag and it's got like obviously a place to put in that hole, could you use that as a knuckle mate in a way, or
No,
technically?
you can't do it. And here's probably 2 reasons why. The biggest reason, it's an improper tool.
Okay.
Okay, that's the big reason.
You can get
Right. If you did something like that and the little flag stick broke and you fell and hit your head on the rail, you know, all these things that could happen, that's your fault because you used the improper equipment. Okay.
easy.
And I'm not so sure that little wooden thing would hold up anyway. You know, I think these are normally fiberglass, so they're pretty stout. And this is like a hickory piece of wood or oak. I mean, it's very tough. Okay. So that's kind of how you do that. You don't have to remember any of that. I'm just talking about some different ways to do it. Here's another way. Alignment straps. Call them drawbar alignment straps. These are straps that they're really thick or wide nylon straps, and they got a loop on them like that. And what you'll do is you'll put this loop in the knuckle of this car, right? And then you'll put the loop on that knuckle. And then as you do that, you'll have the engineer pull away, right? Pull this cut of cars away. Well, the laws of physics apply, okay? The harder he pulls, the strap gets tight, and it automatically pulls the drawbar straight. Okay, that's the drawbar alignment strap. Yes, sir.
Won't that make that other car start moving though?
This,
Yeah.
good point. It might. It might not, but it might. If it does, what can you do here?
Just let it do its thing? Oh,
Tie a
so-
brake on it.
Okay,
Tie a handbrake,
okay.
right? But depending on how much effort it's gonna take, yes, it could definitely move that car. Yeah.
Cause I was thinking of it moving and then going straight into where
Mm-hmm.
the ropes are tied and clamping or whatever.
Right. Yeah, but you can definitely stop that by putting some handbrakes on it. Knuckle mate, we talked about that already. Come along, everybody knows what a come along is, right? It's got that little cable and like a ratchet wrench type thing. You run a cable here, you run the other cable there, and then you just ratchet it straight. And it works like a drawbar strap. The tighter you get it, it just pulls that drawbar straight.
These are all just different ways to straighten it up.
Yeah, they're different options that you could use. I'm telling you, the option you're going to use, again, 95% of the time, is just yourself. If you're a crew, think about this. If you're a crew out here at Argentine, as big as that yard is, and you need to line a drawbar, and you're like, I don't want to do it by hand. I'd rather do it some other way. Use a tool. You don't have the tool, so you got to call and get somebody to bring you a tool. Okay? And they will. They will bring you a tool. But the thing is, you're probably going to be there waiting on it for about 45 minutes to an hour for them to get there. When all you got to do is use 2 seconds and slide it over by hand, right? I hate waiting around on people, so I would rather do it myself, if I can. Sometimes you can't. It gets bound up. Another type of drawbar strap, same thing. Don't worry about that. Replacing knuckles, you're going to do that out in the field. 13.2.5. Again, you got to get in between the equipment to do it. 50 feet, remember, go between, get your protection. Here's a pretty interesting piece of trivia for you. Jeremy told you out in the field, I don't know if you caught it or not. These knuckles, you know, you can open them and close them. Okay? They have a knuckle pin that holds them in. You can see the knuckle pin there. It's about 4 inches up. See that? Well, that's what keeps the knuckle in the drawbar when it's open. Okay? A lot of times, those pins come up missing. And the reason they do is because those cars might be getting switched in a yard, switched out like humped. We're just doing them flat switching. One of the things we're supposed to do when we're switching cars is before we ever open the knuckle, we're supposed to just kind of eyeball that pin to make sure it's there. Because if it's not there, when you open the knuckle will just fall right to the ground. Okay? So if I'm switching cars, I'm like, all right, I got to let this next car go. Oh, they don't have a knuckle pin. Normally what people do is they'll look around on the ground and see if there's any pins laying around. And if they don't see one, they might go over here to this car that's 20 feet away from them and take one, right? And just take it out of this car and put it in theirs. So when you get that car, it's not going to have a knuckle pin, right? Bottom line is this. Always check visually. Just try to remember, check for the knuckle pin before you open the knuckle. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Okay? You can close that knuckle and remove the pin, and you could pull a 20,000 ton train without the pin in it, as long as the knuckle is closed. The minute you open it, it's going to the ground. And then you just made more work for yourself as a conductor, because you got to replace it. Remember, the role of a conductor is what? I told y'all this the other day.
Operation of the train.
Nah, I didn't want the book answer. I wanted my answer. Work smart, not hard.
Oh.
Right? Work smart, not hard. So don't cause yourself unnecessary work. When you're opening the knuckles, you certainly do not want to do this. Place your leg or foot where the knuckle could fall on it. I want to tell you, you got 75 pounds of pure steel, and it's compact, right? If it hits your foot, I don't think those little steel-toed or Velcro, not Velcro, Kevlar-toed boots are going to help you a whole lot. Okay? So make sure you don't have your feet in the wrong place when you're opening knuckles. I always, if I do a week 4 with students and we replace the knuckles, one of my pet peeves is controlling the knuckle when you pick it up. Okay? Using good body position. You know, instead of bending over at the back, you know, you didn't lean down with your knees and do all that lifting, you know, all that stuff they always talk about. Lift with your legs, not your back. I kind of harp on that. Okay? And another thing I harp on is when you lean down to pick the knuckle up, and you'll do this out there, make sure the knuckle is turned the way you're going to want it before you pick it up. Meaning, when you get ready to replace it back into the drawbar, make sure the knuckle is facing the correct way. Because if you try to pick it up and think, oh man, it's turned backwards, right? And you try to turn it in your hand, probably 99.9% of the time you're going to drop it. Okay? And if it falls on your foot, again, it's going to hurt. Okay? So one thing I tell students, pick it up, have it where you want it to be, and bring it close to your body, and keep it close to your body until you get it in the drawbar and a pin started. Okay? So I always take it like this, and I always keep my feet spread in case I do drop it. And I'll kind of set it in the drawbar, and I'll kind of lean into it and then grab and work with my pin. You know, they'll show you all that out there, but these are, what I'm telling you is more technique of what I know works as opposed to is it actually required by rule, you know. Air hoses and angle cocks. Lawrence, this is 13.3.
Treat all angle cocks and air hoses as if they are under pressure.
How many pounds of pressure does a freight train build up to?
90.
90. If I've got, let's say this is the rear of my train. Here's the train right here. This is the rear of my train. There's my hose. I don't have anything hooked to it, okay? And I got an angle cock right there. What's the closed position of an angle cock, by the way?
Again, or not along with the hose.
Not
Crossing.
with the hose.
Yeah.
So perpendicular, yeah,
There we go.
okay. The open position for an angle cock is in line with the brake pipe. Or parallel, yeah. Think about this a minute. Treat all angle cocks and air hoses as if they're under pressure, okay? If I were standing right here and I just arbitrarily opened that angle cock, Okay, what is sitting right here? What is sitting right there? Air. 90 pounds of air is pushing right here, right? So if I just arbitrarily open that angle cock, I got 90 pounds of air just gonna go right through here. That could cause you some serious damage, okay? Because these air hoses, as they're dangling, you can see that one over there, they face to the side, okay? That way the other air hose can meet up with it, okay? So I got a glad hand here. The hole faces this way. So think about this, Newton's laws again. If I get 90 pounds of air rushing through here, all of a sudden, it comes out here. Goes this way. Which way is the hose going? This way. For every action,
Consequence.
exactly. So if you open these things and you got all that pressure, what happens is this air hose could do this number. Whoosh. That glad hand's made of steel. It has broken shin bones before. And it has certainly bruised bones before, right? So you just got to be mindful of that, okay? So just remember, you're dealing with pressurized air. Very, very huge statement right here, worthy of notoriety.
When connecting air hoses, keep 1 foot outside the rail whenever possible.
Do you think you need protection, a go-between, to lace air hoses?
Yes.
Absolutely, right? And so what you're going to do is when you lace these hoses, it says keep 1 foot in, 1 foot out when possible, right? That's what the rule book says. This is what I say. You need to try to make it possible to keep that 1 foot outside the rail, okay? First of all, to get in between those two cars, you got a drawbar right here, you got air hoses. To get in with both feet is going to be hard for you to maneuver. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to step in with 1 foot, keep 1 foot outside the rail, and just lean down like this. Do what you're going to do. Because if something happens and you start hearing like slack run out or you start detecting movement, it's extremely easy for you to do this right here and just step out of the way. Conversely, if you're in with both feet and something happens, you're going to have to try to get turned around and get out. And I'll tell you, inevitably, your toe is going to get tripped up on that rail. And then you're going to fall. Okay. So try your best to keep 1 foot outside that rail at all times. You never know when something bad's going to happen. Angle cocks. Remember, you got 90 pounds of air right there at the door of the angle cock. Do you know how a train goes into emergency? The control valves put it in emergency, right? But why do the control valves put it in emergency? A sudden change in pressure. Okay? So if I open an angle cock too fast, remember, I had 90 pounds of air right here at the door. If I open it too fast, I go like this, and the air is gone. The control valve's like, what the heck is going on? Put the whole train in emergency. Okay? What they want you to do is open it slow, and that way you can kind of let that air ease into there. Okay? And when it starts flowing good, then you can open it. You see what I'm saying? So you'll put the train in emergency. We got a rule around here, by the way, that if you put the train in emergency, if you put our equipment into emergency or the equipment out in the field, you have to bring donuts the next day. That's right.
All right.
That's right. So now I got to tell you, this side of that, that's a joke. And I say it's a joke because of this. We had a class here one time. There was about 15 or 16 students. And I told them that, right? It's just a joke. I tell them that, and sure enough, we go to the field, and we had this young guy that put the train in emergency. And boy, everybody started ribbing him. Oh, I can't wait till tomorrow, boy. Donuts, Krispy Kremes, and blah, 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 you know, and all this. Well, listen, it takes a lot of money to come here and do this course, right? So this guy was really struggling. I mean, you know, all the money he had to pay for the course, the hotel, trying to eat, and he was really struggling. And unbeknownst to me and many of the other students, he was really freaking out over this idea of having to buy donuts because he didn't have no money. You know, he thought it was a requirement, you know. And finally, I don't know how it all ended, but some student, you know, he told some student or something about his concerns, and the student told me, you know. So that's why I always tell students it's a joke, because I don't want you getting worked up that you got to do that. But yeah, he was very worked up over that. He just knew he had to bring donuts, and he didn't have the money to bring it, you know. And it's kind of funny. We had a BNSF instructor out in the field, and he's being all cocky, you know, and I'm the instructor, I know everything, you know, blah, blah, blah. So he tells the students in another class, he tells the students, and if you put my train in emergency, you have to bring donuts for everybody, you know. And I told you how we demonstrate the task for you first, right? Mm-hmm. So we're cutting the air into the train, and he's doing it. And he laces the hose, and he says, this is the way you cut the air into the train. And, you know, he's being all professional. And he had just told him 5 seconds before about the donut thing. And so he goes to cut the air in, and he went too quick, and he went, pow! Put the whole train in emergency. And boy, everybody started ribbing him. Yeah, you got to bring donuts, you know. And that sorry sucker didn't bring it. He said it didn't apply to the instructor.
Oh.
Yeah, dirty dog. Angle cock, open it slowly. You can hear that air flowing too. Now listen, air is literal, meaning let's say I have 100 cars, and I cut it into the first car behind the engines. That air has to travel from the engine all the way back to the last car, right? So air is going to be flowing a little longer. You see what I'm saying? Whereas I just cut the air into one car. Bzz, it's done. Okay? So sometimes you have to kind of, I always like to pick up on the handle. I'll pick up on the bottom end of the handle. You have to pick it up to turn it anyway. I just kind of pick it up with this hand, and I just kind of tap easy with my other hand. Just steady. And you'll hear the air flowing. And then when you hear it slow down and stop flowing, then you can just bring it all the way across. Okay. Now closing the angle cock, it doesn't matter. You can just reach up and close it. Don't try to do it with your feet and do all this other crazy stuff. This right here. Turn your face away from the glad hand before opening angle cock. Why? Because not only that, the swinging motion, possibly, we want to prevent that. But that, remember that glad hand of the air hose shoots air to the side, right? So what it could do, if you're looking at it when you do all that, it can blow debris, you know, like dirt and sand and stuff like that, and potentially get in your eye. So they just want you to turn away when you do that. To part air brake, train line hoses, connections, locomotive control connections by hand, close the angle cocks. This is more on an engine. We don't do this on cars. Okay? They disconnect themselves. And even on engines. If you're leaving an engine somewhere, they disconnect themselves too. Okay? But you can take them apart by hand if you have to. Leading in of a moving car to control or stop the movement. We don't want that car to be rolling and then try to reach down and turn the angle cock to put it in emergency to stop it. First of all, you gotta lean down to the front end of the car. And, you know, you can tell how that could end. All right, this is a good place to take a 7-minute break.